Welcome back, people of everywhere, for another session of R&R. And this time, we're going to be talking about a movie called The Good Neighbor. I've never heard of this movie before, but it was recommended to me by a buddy of mine who wanted to know what I thought since I did these reviews. So, now I'm going fresh into a movie I've never heard of by a director I've never heard of, just for you. So here you go, Jake. The movie stars really mainly just three people. One of them being James Caan, and the other one, I'm going to need to look at this paper because Keir, Gilchrist. Yeah. And Logan Miller. And is directed by Kasra Farahani. I am so sorry about that. Now, what this movie is about is two high school students, Ethan and Sean, decide to pull a prank on their neighbor and try to convince him that his house is haunted. They break into his house, set up surveillance cameras and microphones everywhere, and little tricks and things to make him believe that his house is haunted. They're able to shut his lights off. They're able to open and slam doors. They're all this different stuff to make him think that something is going on. And they set you up to where you are on their side because their neighbor is this horrible human being. So they're like, it's okay. It doesn't matter. He can deal with it. Now, when the movie starts off, you see that it is a found footage movie. And we have so many of those that it is ridiculous. So when I saw that, my hopes were immediately dropped. I was not looking forward to this movie. Because when it comes to found footage films, they can either be pretty good or they could be absolute garbage. Most of which are the latter. Because all a found footage film is just a quick and easy way to make a movie to get a quick and easy profit. So I was not expecting much from this movie. But there were certain times during the movie where something would happen during this pranking, and then it would just immediately cut to a courtroom. So you know right off the bat, this isn't any spoilers because it happens pretty early, something goes wrong. And all throughout the movie, you have no idea what that is until the very end. And when I saw that that's what they were doing, that's what caught my attention. Because the entire movie is not found footage. There are even certain scenes in the house during the pranking that is not found footage, that is not being shown through the surveillance cameras. It is actual camera work. And I thought that was really interesting, combining the found footage and the actual movie making styles and putting them into one and actually making it cohesive. I assumed when I first saw that it was going to be just a jumbled mess, but it actually worked pretty well. Now, when it comes to the directing style of this film, there's really not much to say, because with the surveillance and the found footage, there's only so much you can do with that. There's really only one thing you can do with that, and that's not really any directing as far as filmmaking goes, or shooting the film, rather, excuse me. And even with the actual cameraman filming that is not the surveillance, it's okay. There's nothing spectacular or outstanding or even any type of remarkable about it. It's well shot, but that's really all I can say about it. There are some pretty good scenes and sequences where there is some pretty heavy tension, especially near the end of the film when everything is coming to a head. Those scenes and sequences were really well done. I will give that to Kasra. I'm not going to get that right. I'm going to give up trying. I'm just going to call him K. The director is K. It's just K. K. Now, as far as the performances go, when I first started watching this movie and it shows the old man, the neighbor that they are pranking, I keep doing this because it's really not even a prank. But I didn't even realize that it was James Caan, because they covered him in makeup. I realize he's older now anyway, but they just made him look ragged. He does not look good at all. And I didn't even realize it was him until like halfway through the movie. But even without knowing it was him, I enjoyed his performance. You don't like him as a human, but you like his performance. And throughout the movie, you really get to see why he is the way he is, why he does the things he does, and it makes more sense. He is able to become a much more sympathetic character. I'm not going to go too much into that because that would be heavy spoiler territory, but I will tell you that his performance gets more rounded and gets more layers as the movie goes on, and he does it really well. Now, when it comes to the two high schoolers, I've never seen these guys before. I don't know them. I just read you their names, and I cannot tell you what they are. I don't know these guys from Adam. For what they were given, it was fine. They did a fine job. It was okay. That's really the best I can give for them. There are a couple of scenes that stand out, sort of. Like I have the scene in my mind, but I don't really remember what they say. That's really the kind of performance you get from these two. While you're watching it, you're like, yeah, they're doing pretty well. That's pretty good. But then once the movie is over, you don't remember those two. You remember James Caan. You don't remember them. And I'm not going to give them too much crap for that. Because like I said, I've never seen these guys before, never even heard of this actor, never even heard of this movie. So I really wasn't expecting, an Oscar-worthy performance from these two kids. Now, also about the two high school students, there's one of them, and I believe that it's Ethan. It's the one with the longer hair. He plays the type of character that I think you're supposed to hate him. I don't think I hated him because of his performance. I think you're supposed to hate that character. Because I did. I didn't like his character at all. I thought he was just, I didn't like him. He was he's a tool. He's like the douchiest of the douchebags in doucheland. He's the king douche. That is this guy. And the other kid, you kind of sympathize with him. He's friends with this guy just because he's friends with him. He's in a situation like that. And as the movie goes further, you really start to dislike both of them while sympathizing with both of them. So this is not a one-track, here you go, this is what you get in movie, which is what I expected it to be. It actually develops layers and rounds out its characters. Whether you like the characters by the end of the movie or not, it does give you a well-rounded movie. And I'm pretty sure the movie was only maybe a little over an hour and a half. So when I saw that, I was not expecting much character development at all. And even without, like, a scene, like a character building scene, you don't really get that. It's just a line here, you pick a line here, you pick a word here, and you start to piece together what these characters are all about. Or when it comes to James Caan, you get a scene here, a flashback here, So these characters actually are well-rounded in a pretty professional and well-done way, which I was surprised about. And what I wasn't expecting is that the movie really does raise some decent questions about a lot of stuff. Like, the movie opens up with this monologue about how an experiment was done on these people who had very straightforward and scheduled lives. Their lives weren't altered in any way, but people would just sporadically come in and alter their schedules very minorly. And it made these people change their entire outlook on life. And that's what these kids were placing their prank on, was to see if they can make a man change the way he believes by changing the world around him, even though what they're doing is fake. And I thought that was really interesting. It starts to get lost as the movie goes on, though, and focuses more just on what these kids are doing and why they're wanting to do it, like the real reasons why they're wanting to do it. But it does, for a little while, make you think about how easily people can be manipulated. Now, with all of that in mind, it actually was pretty difficult for me to think of a solid score for this movie. I was going back and forth between one score and the other, even though they're basically the same thing. One just kind of looks better than the other. But I think when it all comes down to it, I'm going to give this movie a B-. It was either going to be a B- or a C+, but there are certain little things in the movie that gives it that little nudge up into a B grade. There you go. That was for you, Jake. Now you know how I feel. Thank you for recommending that to me, buddy. I really did enjoy it. So, now that you've heard what I have to say, let me know what you think down in the comments. Like it, share it, subscribe it, do what you do, and I will see you all next time.